Good morning, everyone. I am Madeline Sale, and this morning I have with me Tyler Graf von Rebik, an author and friend of mine, and we are going to be talking about his books. Tyler, how are you this morning?
Doing great. Can't complain.
Great. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like Madeline said, I am. Is it Madeline or Madeline?
Madeline.
Madeline. Okay. Well, as Madeline said, I'm an author, a writer. I've written, and published around. Let's see, probably. Let's see. It's about 16 novels under my own name. 11 poetry collections, 3 short story collections. Um, that's under my own name, and then under a pen name or pen names rather, I have around 160, 170 stories ranging from short stories to novels, novellas, short story collections. Um, I we went to school together.
Yes.
Um, um, Down in southeastern Oklahoma, and I I've been all over the world. I'm a traveler. I mean, I consider myself an adventurer, a connoisseur of life, so to speak. I write from what I see in the daily world and stuff. I mean, I changed some names and maybe fictionalize a few accounts, but for the most part, I just do what I can, and if I don't like it, then I wouldn't release it.
That's good. And that's amazing that you have that many titles published. What genres do you write in?
I write in horror, sci-fi. Um, let's see. I do drama. I love drama. The literary prose. I absolutely love literary novels. I consider any drama piece to be a prestige piece. Um, and I also write in erotica. I do erotic fiction, from erotic romance to erotic horror, erotic sci-fi. Um, Really, I can cover any kind of genre. I've never really been good at experimental fiction, though. That's one thing I've never really tried to push into. But I mean, I'm interested for the future.
That's good to know. So where would you say you draw most of your inspiration? You mentioned traveling. So give me a little bit of like what all inspires you to write.
Well, a lot of it comes from people I've met, experiences I've encountered. Um, I'd like to think that I have a an idea, like if I learn about something in history, or I learn about someone interesting, or I meet someone interesting, I like to think of how I would put that if I was that person and I was faced with a certain experience, this certain story. How would I go about doing any actions? How would I say in this circumstance? What would I do if I myself was in any of these places? It's a lot of ways. It's putting myself in a certain situation and then thinking to myself, how would I go about doing this? What would I do? What would I do differently? How would I do this? And so it's essentially, I just go about writing it from my own point of view into the basically into the setting, the characters, and I like to think every character is me in a certain way. So maybe a mindset or a dark side, a light side. I say inspiration. It just comes naturally to me. Inspiration comes naturally. Now, getting it on paper, that's usually where I draw some difficulty.
Yeah, getting it from the head to the paper is difficult sometimes. It's almost like a slower process putting it down than it is to think it up.
It's an exercise, that's for sure.
Yes. So what does your writing process look like? Do you do planning or just kind of fly by the seat of your pants?
It's really just flyby. I So basically, when I started writing, I was a kid, a lifetime ago. When I was a child, I used to write. Basically, I would try to plot it out. and then I would go ahead and I'd just write the story, and I show it to everyone, and everyone would be all like, "That's good. Now rewrite it and make it better." And I'm like, "What do you mean rewrite it? It's written. I'm done." And then I came to I learned about the snowflake method, which is where 12 words, you describe the initial plot of the story, and then you just write, and then you add some features, and stage one, stage two, and or rather part one, part two, and then it just snowballs like a snowflake. It snowballs and turns into an avalanche or whatever. But I never did that. When it comes to me, I get an idea and I sit down and I write and I write and I write and I don't stop writing until I have either the interested word length for the day, or I've come to a particular part where I think it's safe to say it's a good ending. Um, but I'd have to say it's all edge of the seat kind of thing and stuff. What happens next is totally in my hands, and if I like it, that's good. If I don't like it, then I will. And I'm very hard on myself about that. I don't just um, what's it called? I don't just highlight to a certain point which I don't like and then delete it. I absolutely press the backspace button as many times as I can until I come to the point where I'm like, okay, this is salvageable.
That's a good way to go about it. So, because I go through when I edit everything and I'm like, okay, we got to erase this whole section. And just like redo it. It's hard to like really make stuff work when it doesn't like mesh up with what your idea. Um, so do you currently have any projects you're working on, any short stories or anything?
Yeah, actually, I'm always working on something. I've been writing a lot of poetry lately.
Uh-huh.
I've been learning acrostics and epigrams.
Cool.
Um, I don't know. Do you write poetry?
I am dabbling in it. It's a new thing for me. So I actually sent
Is it?
in a poem I wrote about the ocean to see if it could be included in an anthology. So I should hear about that. Hopefully the next 30 days we'll find out how it did.
Mazel tov, fantastic. I hope you get it.
Thanks,
Um,
me too.
but, I when it comes to right now the poetry I'm writing and stuff, I'm trying to write chapbooks, which are poetry, little poetry booklets of around 15 to 30 poems a piece.
uh,
And I'm trying to write at least 50 of them. I'd like to hit 50 separate chapbooks by the end of the year.
that's a
Um,
great goal because I think you
yeah,
can do it.
hopefully.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do it, because then tomorrow I might get writer's block and be all like, well, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
I've learned in the game to or the game, the writing game, if you will. I've learned that don't ever just boast that, oh yes, I'm set up to write a 50,000 word novel. You're all gonna be so impressed. I'll even give you the deadline, because there is no deadline. Um, but when it comes to stories, actual prose, I would say that I do have three currently in the making.
Uh-huh.
One of them I've almost finished, and it's called Gazing into Memory. I might have told you about it, but I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Um,
So go ahead and tell me.
well, basically, it's about three friends.
Yes.
They were kids together, and what it does is it cuts to between the past and the present.
Uh-huh.
And in the past, they were the best of friends, really good people and stuff. They had their own little quirks and interests, and they knew the area real well, their little childhood home. And then cut to modern day, and they've all gone their separate ways. And so far, it's kept up with two of them. Um, and the reason is because something happened, a really bad incident happened that literally drove them apart.
Yeah.
Like their self-appointed leader, he went off to Vegas, started a casino, lives the cynical life of drugs, sex, and the rock and roll. And then the other one, he's actually the intelligent one of the group. He's basically he's at home, and he's depressed. He's suffered from a life altering well, I'm sorry, not the intelligent one, the athletic one.
Uh-huh.
The athletic one of the group. There was a smart one, an athletic one, and then the charismatic one. The charismatic one is living in Vegas. The athletic one is no longer athletic. Now he's basically suffered a life-changing injury. He has a metal plate in his head,
Oh,
and he's very cynical. He's very depressed. Well, I would say that the leader, the charismatic one, he's cynical, and the athletic one is jaded. Now, I know a lot of people will say cynicism and jaded are the same thing. Well, to me, I don't really think so. I think that if you're a cynic, you see the world in a pessimistic way, like a nihilistic way. Like hey, if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. There's no way of stopping it. You might as well just embrace the suck.
yeah,
Whereas a jaded person is more or less the kind of person that understands that yeah, the world does suck, but even if I was to try, it's not going to make it any better. If anything, it's just going to make it even worse.
yeah.
So, and the third one, the intelligent one, they haven't caught up with him yet. But that reason, and I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but the main reason is because he was also involved in the incident, and he took the worst of it, if not in a physical way, in a legal way. So,
Wow.
and I drew a lot of comparison on me and some friends I had when I was a kid. And also, I'm a big fan of Ed Nettie, the
Uh-huh.
cartoon.
Yes, I remember watching that show. It's funny.
In fact, it basically it's what drove me to become who I am in a lot of ways. I consider myself a portion of each of the Eds in a certain way.
Yeah,
Um, and I got thinking to myself, what would happen if the three of them had met with a catastrophe as they got
yeah,
older, and what would happen? So, I'm not pirating ideas or anything. I haven't written my characters to be exact Ed replicas or anything like that because I do believe copyright infringement is a very serious crime, and
yes,
I'm not
yes.
about that. So, um, the other two books that I'm currently writing, excuse me, the other two books that I'm currently writing, one is it's kind of I don't want to say it's an autobiography. It's a semi-autobiography. Basically, it's some stories I have as a kid, some
Yeah,
adventures I had growing up, um, and some ideas that I wished I had pursued when I didn't. Just basically like a throwback thought on what would happen if I had pursued certain ideas. Um, and then the third and the last one that I'm currently working on, it's in the bare bones section right now. Like I'm not even sure if I'm gonna continue with it, but it's actually it's a sequel of sorts
uh-huh,
to the very short, very short novel I wrote called Happiness,
uh-huh,
which is the story of Jay Lee and Jay Lee River and Clifton Cardwell, who were minor characters in my book, Lights in the Distance.
uh-huh.
Um, and basically, they were the love struck couple that and then Humming Happiness was the story of how they met, how they came to be together. And this book is basically a continuation of what would happen if these two, what if we followed their story as time went by? Would
Yeah,
they stay together? What would try to drag them apart? I mean, Clifton's parents were angry when he ran off to be with Jay Lee because they didn't consider her a good enough woman for him because he was abused mentally and he's from a well-off, relatively conservative family, whereas she's the trailer, trailer punk girl. She's dyeing
yeah.
her hair with Kool-Aid, and she's wearing leather coats, and she's making suggestive remarks to him about him at dinner and stuff. And the mom's just like, "You evil bitch," and stuff like that. you know, um, and basically, it's I love writing romance, basically. I love
Yeah,
romance stories if I can work some kind of romance into my stories. Only recently did I write a book that I didn't try to incorporate any romance into, and then I talked to someone and they were like, "They should have got together in the end," and I was like, but they were just friends. I couldn't see the two of them getting together.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think wasn't that it's I read that one, I think. The Halloween
the
story, right?
the Curse of Hollow Haven.
Yes. Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. That was a good
Because
story.
I know you can overdo it trying to work some kind of romance into it. I wrote when I wrote Carrying the Garland,
Yeah.
romance was part of it because it was established that uh talk about forgetting the main character, I forget what her name is.
And you're good. You
It's
wrote a lot of books. I remember it was about sisters, like the sisters, because it made me cry.
That's right. That's right. The main character, the main character, her name will come to me eventually. Elizabeth. Elizabeth.
Uh-huh. That sounds
Elizabeth.
right.
She was previously stated to have a romance with her lover, and then when she came back and he found that she was back in town and they started and they were pursuing it, that made sense. That was a realistic romance.
Yeah.
Um, but then like at the end of the book that I previously brought up, Lights in the Distance,
Uh-huh.
I said that well, I wrote that basically Jim Harley, he tries to he's talking to the woman the publishing house that he uses, the self-publishing house that he uses, the vanity
Yeah.
publishing, I guess I would say. And he asks her out and she says yes. And then after I published it, I was like, but wait, I never stated that the publishing house was in the same town. They don't have any kind of, besides the conversation they had previously, and that took place a whole year before the events of the story. And I thought to myself, God, that was horrible. It was a last minute attempt to further humanize Jim Harley, but
Yeah.
it was in such a, I mean, I guess I could have got away with it because the whole novel is basically very dreamlike.
Yeah.
So there's no saying that he was still, he was awake the entire time, or if it was all just a drunken delusion, because he actually drinks before he goes out on the adventures.
Uh-huh.
And the adventures, they're very metaphysical in a lot of ways. And I don't really usually write supernatural
Yeah.
into my stories a whole lot. I tend to prefer the reality because the truth is stranger than fiction.
That's true.
And so basically, that's what I call a failed attempt at
Uh-huh.
realism. But then again, it wasn't supposed to be realistic. It was a supernatural, metaphysical element to the entire story. So I could have got away with it, but I'll always look back on it like, nah, I shouldn't have done that. But I think we all have remarks on our own stories that we wish we could have done better.
Yes, I
And
agree with that.
I reread one of my books earlier. It was Tuck and Beth,
Uh-huh.
and I fell in love with the story all over again. I kind of wish that I had, or rather that I hadn't established it as being in Hayworth,
Uh-huh.
because I don't even know how Hayworth was back in the day, but or back in the 1800s or early, well, the Depression era, I guess, so it was the 1930s, um but I fell back in love with the story all over again, and it really inspired me to keep writing. And I like it.
That's good. That's what's important. It's like you want to be happy with your story. If you like it, that's the most important thing. Because readers are either going to like it or hate it. I've had to tell myself that it's okay if not everybody likes the story. So, you mentioned earlier about something about writer's block. How do you work through writer's block when you get it?
Oh, well, when I get writer's block, it's crippling. I mean, it is like somebody literally stabbed me in the brain.
Oof.
Um, I hate to say it, but a lot of my writer's block has been from outside sources. Um, if I read a review, like a 1-star review on Amazon saying, "Oh my God, the story sucks," like, oh, yeah, thanks for reading it. But then my own mother will tell me that she'd be like, "I'm just disappointed in your genre," and it's like a cancer almost. It just
Yeah.
cripples. It's crippling, is what it is.
Yeah.
And after that, I lose any interest, any ability to write. And you know, they say you shouldn't listen to other people if it's your interest, if it's your creativity. then that's it's gonna be your legacy and stuff. So do what you can and enjoy what you do. But I always treasure people's opinions,
Yeah.
especially people close to me. And I and that's really a lot of what it comes into. And when it comes to writer's block, to get to the gist of the question, when it comes to writer's block, I usually just stop writing and then just wait for it to pass.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, that's not the most healthiest way to do that
Yeah.
because I've lost years at a time to writer's block, just my lack of creativity. And then I'll start writing, and then I'll keep writing, and I'll be writing, and it's great. And then someone will say, "Hey, can you do something? Can we get can you do something for me?" Blah 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 blah. It kills the concentration. And then I'll go do that. And when I come back, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, wait. So
Gosh.
it's really touch and go.
Makes sense. Okay, a fun question. What is your favorite food?
Um, my favorite food is probably matzo ball soup. I absolutely
Nice.
have you ever had matzo
I
ball soup?
haven't, but I've seen pictures of it and it looks good. So I'm not
I
one I don't know where I would go to find it to try it.
well, I mean, you can make it at home. They have recipes for it.
Uh-huh.
It's basically unleavened. It's unleavened. It's like an unleavened bread that's put in some lukewarm water, and
Yeah.
over time, and I mean, they start off like that big, and then you boil them, and then over time they fluff, and they get to about like size of your hand. It
Whoa.
looks it looks like a popcorn ball,
Yeah.
and but it's soft. It is like super soft. They put it in the bowl, and you get a spoon, and you just like perfect slice off of it, and it is
Nice.
really great. And you know, it's really good for a sore throat too. Like
Is
if you
it?
have a sore throat or a dry throat, then
Yeah.
just have some matzo ball soup, and it has some real healing properties to it. I like to think. Um, and I mean, my my culture's been eating matzo ball soup for years, so
Yeah.
obviously, so
I might
it must have some qualities.
I might have to look that up because my family's been passing on virus around like crazy this week.
Ooh.
Okay. If you could tell new authors one thing, like a tip or something, what would you tell them?
Excuse me. Well, when it comes to writing, writing is a hobby, um, and it should never be more than that. Like if you go into writing thinking that you're going to get rich, you're not. If you're going to go into writing thinking that you're going to create an entire world, and you're gonna find something awesome about it, um, you might. If you go into writing thinking to yourself, I like writing. I want to create characters. I want to make something. I want to tell a story. And if my story should, go on to something great, then that's great. But if not, I'm writing for myself, and I'm writing for the readers, and then you are going to succeed, because in the end, writing is a gift that not a lot of people have, but everybody has a story. So what you do is you just find a way to harness harness the creativity, get it on paper. And a lot of people will say you need to rewrite and stuff, and they're probably right. You probably do need to rewrite it and stuff and work out some of the kinks, because everybody has their own idea of how a story should be. No one's gonna No two people are gonna agree 100% on anything.
Yeah.
So when it comes to writing, you need to focus on how you want the story told. And if no one else likes it, at least you like it. And
Yes.
ultimately, you're the final judge on everything that goes on in your life. I mean, I tell people that, and not just about writing, but about anything. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the only person that you have to answer to is yourself. So when it comes to writing, it's the same exact thing. Write the story you want told, and then tell it.
Good advice. And finally, where can readers find your work?
You can find my work on Amazon. You can find my work on Smashwords. You can find my work on Walmart online, Barnes and Noble online. You can type my name into Google, and my books will pop up automatically, sometimes in the picture section, and then sometimes in links.
Cool.
I've seen my books sold as far as India, Germany, Sweden. Oh, I'm saying in Europe. I've seen them sold in China, Japan. Well, not China. I don't think they sell anything in China, but in Japan. I've seen them sold in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've been doing that. I've been writing for, oh wow, like 10, 15 years. So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a bit of a presence in the world. So
that's
uh,
good.
and honestly, and what it is it's consistency.
Yes.
You know, if you go into writing and you have a lot of writing and you have a lot of stories and you want to publish them and you want to make some kind of a career out of it, my biggest advice when it comes to writing and making a career into it, oversaturate the market. Put your name out there, and if you put your name out there enough, eventually someone's going to get tired of seeing it and they're going to be all like, well, I wonder what this guy's all or this woman's all about. So they'll
Yeah,
click the link and you sold the book. And if they don't like it, hey, at least you got some kind of publicity, and other people will read that and be all like, well, I'm sure it's not that bad. And it just spider webs from there.
that's good. All right, guys. Well, this is Tyler, and it was a pleasure to have you on the show today. And
It's always a
just,
pleasure talking.
I hope you
Speaking
stay
with you.
well. Thanks for
Thank you.
stopping in.